Hey, what's up, everybody? KanjiEater back here with part 2. We're just going to jump in, talk more about some otaku goods that I picked up while I was in Japan. All right, so this next one is kind of unique. So this is the artwork by Amano-sensei, who is the one who probably most people recognize the style from that early Final Fantasy artwork. And this was the cover of the very first Arslan Senki, which is what drew me into it and has quickly become probably my favorite novel series in Japanese that I'm reading. So I think I'm on like volume 10 at this point. It's been a while, so I need to figure out which volume I'm in and probably start that up soon. But anyways, the original artwork for it was by Amano, and then eventually, I'm not sure why, but he stopped doing the artwork for them probably around where I'm at in the novel. So I think around maybe 8 or 9-ish. And I think they might have lost rights to it. I'm not sure, but it's now when it gets published, and the digital versions that I read online doesn't have any of his work, any of his artwork in it, which it kind of feels like you're missing out when all of this was created for that, and it's really incredible. So I figured I would grab the collection of it so that way I could actually see what the art was like without having to go and track down, 9 separate volumes where it was in. So a lot of this stuff is recognizable to me as like major scenes that happen, and then some of it I'm like, I don't even know who this character is supposed to be in his style. So it's a very interesting collection of art for somebody like me that's actually reading through it and invested in Arslan. So really looking forward to kind of spending some more time looking through that. Then also picked up this one, which is from Hiro no Kakera. I just thought that the cover looked cool and I couldn't find it digitally online. Wasn't sure what it would be, but I believe it's just collections of artwork from the actual visual novel. So some of this might be from the anime as well, but I'm really not sure yet. I haven't dove too far into it because I don't want spoilers because I haven't read it yet. So at some point, I'll be able to look through that a bit better, but it's a really nice art collection book. So figured I'd check it out. I haven't read any Otome games, so that'll be the first one, I guess. And I've never bought any of these from Japan, but first time buying some Gunpla stuff. So first off, Kuroro Gunso. I figured if nothing else, it would be a really good warm-up for some of the more harder stuff that I now have in mind to try out. But it actually is like a transforming robot version of Kuroro Gunso. So I guess I would say the reason that I'm even interested in Kuroro Gunso at all is because it's the only Tales of game that has licensed characters in it, basically. So the original Tales team actually made a Kuroro Gunso game. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to understand that, I need to watch the anime. And been watching the anime in the background for a while now. It's a really good background show. It's pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining. And so I kind of like the next step would be to actually play the Tales game that they made with Kuroro Gunso characters. So thought it would be cool to pick up the mech, try out putting it together, but also like taking it a step further, like actually trying to do it like serious way where you like paint stuff and that sort of thing to kind of up the quality level. Because after that one, I'm going to have to do this one, which will be much more difficult. All right, so this one, I originally was going to pick up a used one from Surugaya, but they told me they wouldn't deliver it to a hotel, and so they wasted some of my time. I was not happy about that. And then, so I just got it off of Amazon, and I got a new one, and it looks like it was in really good condition. So I haven't actually opened it up yet, but the idea would be after I finish up the Kuroro Gunso one, warm up with that, move on to the real big boy stuff here. And I've seen the builds of this online, and basically if you don't do it yourself, like paint it and that sort of thing, it comes out looking a lot cheaper than I had really wanted. The alternative, so originally this was released as a prototype, which was like 3x, like what it is now. I think it's around, if you buy it now at this point, after they've already, done the original shipment, I think it's like 10,000 yen-ish. And before it was like 3x that when it was a prototype. So now they've actually got colored pieces in it, which is the new thing that they did after the prototype phase, and they kind of mass produced it. And so it kind of has that mass produced feel and the actual build quality, it looks like. So I like to try to kind of up that quality by doing a little like DIY project with it. And I did pre-order the Masamune one, which if this one goes well, hopefully I'll do the same for that one, but we'll see. Haven't done like any Gunpla stuff since I think like I had Zoids in like the 5th grade, which were like legitimate like Gunpla Zoids, not just like the toys of them. And it was certainly a simpler set to do. Okay, so next section we have the Shin Megami Tensei novels that I picked up. So I think this one was actually the really rare one that I got the last copy of off of Amazon, and now there's none left. So sorry about that, but it does have a bunch of like art in this that doesn't seem like it's going to be telling the exact same story as the games. There's just a few other scenes in here that I saw. I was like, I don't remember that when I played through it in Japanese a few years back. But this was, as far as games go, this was one of the most like unique atmospheres. So I'm looking forward to having an excuse to go and revisit that world without having to play through the game. So that's a cool find. And then these three here are the original Megami Tensei series that I really don't have much of an understanding of like what these did besides kind of inspire the Shin Megami Tensei line. And I can't find them digitally anywhere, so that was a reason I wanted to just go ahead and pick up the actual physical ones. I believe these are the first three sequentially, but honestly I don't know because I haven't done that much research. I know there's a couple others that this guy did after that, so maybe that'll be something to check out after I finish up these ones. Then this one actually technically isn't a Shin Megami Tensei one, even though it has the artwork by the same guy who's done lots of the artwork for the SMT series. So that's what kind of drew my attention to it, but it's actually a story by the guy who did Boogie Pop. So it should be interesting. The art in it, that's why I bought it, but hopefully the story in it's also really good. I had really good reviews on it in the couple spots that I looked. So looking forward to that one. So Case of Dragon Slayer. Then, so this last one, kind of a random pickup as well. So this is basically a lot of information about the SMT world, like as far as locations in it, things that they pulled from like mythology or legends, like that sort of thing, and kind of just dumps it all into one book that kind of says like this is where things come from. A game that has as many like threads that it pulls from as SMT, it seems like a nice thing to just kind of read through to get a deeper appreciation for some of like weird and obscure things like this. So looking forward to getting a little bit more historical understanding of how some of the wild things in those games came to be. Then, so these two were just random pickups from Book Off. This, I believe, I looked into this afterwards, and I think this one's getting published to Harta, which is one of, it's like a really thick, high quality manga magazine that it was from another manga exhibit that I went to. It specifically said that Harta used to be like known for putting quality in front of like money or anything else. More or less that has changed according to, it was the manga exhibit for the lady who made Emma as well as the Bride Story one. But anyways, that's what she was saying. And so this one kind of stood out just because it's really high quality artwork. It's a bigger size. Since it was at Book Off, it was cheaper. And there was only one volume out, I thought, when I got it. Then I went to Village Vanguard and saw that there's already a second one out. So I didn't pick up that one. So I'll be missing out. But it gives me something new to try out that I had never heard of before, which is also kind of what this one was as well. So this is a hardcover one. So basically at Book Off, I was just looking for things that I couldn't get digitally, again, that would make interesting physical things to read through that I wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So hardcover, shorter one, colored pages. So not sure what Asleep is going to be about, but looking forward to giving it a read at some point. Okay, so then the next section, I've been looking forward to getting these ones for a while. If you've been following some of my updates in Discord, I've mentioned I'm supposed to be reading through some TRPG rulebooks so I can play with other people. But unfortunately, the TRPG rulebooks are like really boring to read through usually. But this one in particular seems a little bit different. So these are TRPGs. Specifically, this one's called Tenrai Bansho. The guy who made it also, I'll have to throw up a picture of what he's made now, which is just so polar opposite of what these were. So these are basically about as chuny as you can get, like mecha robots, gigantic swords, the sorts of things that I would expect from, I don't know, dark fantasy, berserk sort of Nitro plus world building sort of stuff. And it's really dense, and it seems just like a well thought out, like kind of world building guide, if nothing else. So even if I can't find somebody to actually play this with, I think it'll be interesting just for some of the art in here alone. I talked to one of my friends who is Japanese, and does like had done a lot of TRPG stuff. He said he'd heard of this one, but I get the feeling these ones are kind of obscure. But anyways, so Tenra Bansho Zero is the one that I got here that I couldn't find digitally anywhere. There's also this little novel that is from the same world. So basically, you learn the rule book, you play the TRPG, but then there's also dedicated stories. There's only one like novel that I could find of this, so I went ahead and picked that one up as well. And then the last one here is Tenra War, which, okay, so this is my understanding of it, having not played it or read through any of this really so far. Tenra War is a combination of the Tenra Bansho one, but also this other one that's by the same, I don't know if it's just author or publisher as well, but called Gunslinger. So there's Gunslinger and Tenra Bansho, and I think they seem to have combined some pieces of it into whatever this one is, which still not real sure. At some point, hopefully I'll be able to read through this and again, just see like some more world building mechanics, how those would work. Just general otaku nerd stuff that I look forward to kind of exploring a bit deeper at some point. So then the next set here, these are basically either things that I picked up for like exhibits or a little bit more educational in the specific thing that they're talking about. So this is Sunsoft Chronicle, which is about the company that made like Trip World. Apparently they made a VN, I believe it's called Photogenic, that I've never heard of, but it has a lot of the history of kind of all the different games that they had done, but also some interviews in here from some of the people that worked on these different things. And the company has just recently come back after, I guess they went, I'm not sure if they went bankrupt or what. I guess I'll have to read the interviews and maybe a little bit of the Wikipedia to figure some of that out. But I thought it was interesting. It was, I got it from Kinokuniya, so it was new when I got it, and I wanted just to get a better idea of this company because I'd heard about them, knew that they were out of business and then back. So that'd be interesting. Nothing else. And then I already mentioned Morohoshi Daijiro. He's the one who said that it was difficult to draw oceans at night in manga, but he's done a lot of weird things like Yokai Hunter. One of my favorites, which is The Dark Myth, Ankoku no Shinwa, and then a couple of like things that are just based off of like real world historical things that he then turns into like dark historical fiction. Maybe the art style is kind of a turnoff to some people at the beginning, but there's a lot of just like weird, interesting things. So I'd put him right up there with like Umezu Kazuo and Junji Ito on like weird and twisted things that I think The Dark Myth is probably one of my favorite things just because it's specifically about like dark Japanese legends told through this really bizarre and difficult to follow story. But it's got some cool creature designs and that sort of thing. So I've been reading through Mudmen by him for quite a while, and I find that one to be really interesting as well. So looking forward to diving into some more of his stuff. This is basically just like an introduction across like the various different topics that he's covered, with maybe like a little bit more like depth into some of the historical pieces of it. Okay, so then this next one is by the author of Gundam. When I was over living in Hyogo Prefecture, I went to the Kobe exhibit of the Gundam creators exhibit, showing like his entire career up to this point. And I really regretted not getting this book that kind of covered it because it was such an in-depth, interesting manga and anime exhibit that I really wanted to kind of revisit some of the things that I'd seen there. So I grabbed this one, and then I also actually did go to the in-person manga exhibit this time and picked up the book of this giant robots exhibit, which basically just covers the history of how they came to be from really Tezuka making some of the initial big impacts to some of the more modern entries like Gundam, and where it's kind of going with the like 5-star Monogatari series with some of them like more modern mecha stuff. I didn't see anything about Soko Akimuramasa in this exhibit, so I might have to talk to the museum curator about the greatest work that he's kind of left out. Maybe I'll send him a picture of my, plastic model once I've put it together of Soko Akimuramasa. We'll see. Okay, and then the last thing that I got was, so not the actual 3DS here. I got this grip, which is the Monster Hunter Generations, the 3DS grip. So the XX is apparently Generations. I'm not a Monster Hunter fan. I've never played one of the games besides like the PSP one for a couple minutes, and it did not go well. So I got this though because it is probably the best way to play a 3DS without getting severe hand cramps after 5 minutes. So this was basically impossible to find. Doth, my wife, and I looked around Akiba for basically a day trying to find anything like this. And no, there's just nothing like this at Hard Off or anywhere that we could find around. So Mercari was the place that I ended up finding it and buying it. And I think I got it for about $100 cheaper than I would have gotten it if I had ordered it off of eBay here in the States, because it was originally Japanese. It's basically become impossible to find. It has this fancy little kickstand here, so you can have it up in display mode basically. It has full triggers, which hook up to the L and the L2 sets of buttons that were added to the new 3DS. So I think in general it's a super comfy way to actually play the 3DS. So probably after this video, quite honestly, I'm just going to be playing on this a bit. And in addition, I actually just got back this, which, if you can see, that is a USB-C port, because I just got my 3DS actually modified to do capture card out from Loopy. And I'm excited to try that out. I plugged it in just a little bit to try it out, how it's working. And basically, I had read there was latency issues with the capture card, but from my test, it was, I don't see any latency issues at all. So it's basically going to make this like a consoleized version of the 3DS. Just like with the current state of emulation and whatnot with 3DS, it's mostly stable, but with it getting shut down with Yuzu, Citra and Yuzu getting shut down, like, you know what, I kind of just want some way to actually be able to play these games, be able to record them. I also didn't realize that this does really nice audio out from that same USB-C, and it does charging. So it just kind of makes it a little bit more, I hate the word future-proofing for it, but that's kind of the feel that I got right now. And speaking of feel, super comfy, feels more like an Xbox 360 style grip now, which is really what I was going for. So it was expensive for a grip. Like I said, I think I got it for around like $70 USD. So not cheap by any means, but I was kind of looking for it, and it was exactly what I wanted. So that's cool. The one thing that I might have to do to this is modify it so that that new USB-C that Loopy put in right here is basically covered up now. So that's, I think, an IR port or something like that. And then the USB-C is actually behind that. So I don't know if I'm going to take like a Dremel to that and actually just chop off that leg. It's really, really sturdy in there. Like, it's not going to come out. And I think if I just remove like one leg when it still has these 4 still on there, I think it'll be just fine. But I might try to do maybe a more precision Dremel cut where I just have a USB-C that can just go inside of there. And then it can charge and do everything, stay inside of the grip at all times, which would be like my ideal state for it. So anyways, that is everything that I picked up from Tokyo for the first time in 5 years, as well as a couple stops in Sapporo and around Hokkaido from that trip. So hopefully this was fun for you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please do check out the Discord where we have the Otaku Club. We're playing through a couple of these games and series right now in the different mediums. So we play those together, track points for them, have a good time playing otaku stuff together in Japanese. So I'll catch you guys at the next one. Thanks. Bye.